Good morning, everybody. Great to see you here today. I was thinking about this week. I was thinking about how bad news is so common these days. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I mean, you turn on the TV and you watch the news, or maybe you flip open your phone and you check the news app. Lately, it's been all, everything's bad, everything's terrible. Christmas is going to be destroyed, the whole thing. Lots of bad news. How many of you would like to hear some good news this morning? Yeah, I see some hands out there. That's awesome. Me too. For those tuning in online, for those that are maybe here that have joined us in the last number of months, I wanted to let you know about something that we began 2 years ago. In fact, it was 2 years ago, really to the Sunday, where we had our first big offering, and we kicked off an initiative we call Stretch. And to give you a bit of the backstory of what we were trying to do, I got a little graphic just to throw it up there. Stretch, and it was this idea of stretching our faith in giving for greater reach. And what we wanted to do through the Stretch initiative was we wanted to increase the level of generosity within our church. So again, for those that are new to church, people within the church commit and literally give sacrificially to this organization to help us reach our goals as an organization, to share the gospel, to do kids programming, youth programming, and missions, and all the things that we do. And so, it's hard to raise funds when it's voluntary. People give voluntarily. And so we just said, hey, let's take this opportunity to raise our level of giving and to save some money. And so we set this audacious goal, we'll throw it up, of raising our generosity to $1.75 million over 2 years. So to be clear, what we were talking about was all in giving. If you come here, maybe you've never even heard of Stretch, but you've given in the offering, you've been part of this. We were trying to raise $1.75 million, which, if you see the bar on the left, that's kind of what we were projecting for. This is significant because what we were talking about doing, you can take that image down now, what we were talking about doing was actually raising the level of giving in our church by something like 70% over a 2-year span. So when you think about that, it puts it into perspective. And I stood up on this stage 2 years ago, and we had a 4-week series, and I talked about the importance of giving and what we were trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And I was blown away by the response of our church, because even on that first Sunday, you saw some images of people filling out cards and handing them in. We had something like 85% of our donors and the people that call our Pathway home participate in this generosity initiative to say, hey, we're committing to give at a new level. We're committing to help move this thing forward. So that's all sort of the backstory to how we got where we are today. Well, needless to say, things were going really well, and then coronavirus hit, and giving dropped off because everyone's in difficult situations. And so, up to this point, I was sort of expecting that we might have to kind of delay the end of our campaign till the end of the year, maybe just past Christmas, something like that. We had sort of set 3 goals, and I'll just tell you what they are. The first goal was to bring in $1.75 million over 2 years. And again, that money would be used to run the ministry, staff and buildings and costs and all those things that we had to do. But we were literally going to set aside over 30% of that money coming in a savings account for a future home. And we know that when a building appears, when an opportunity appears for us to have our own space, we're going to have a sizable down payment. So we had set aside this goal to raise $600,000 out of that money and set it aside for savings. So that's goal number 1, was the big amount for 2 years. Goal number 2 was $600,000 in savings. Goal number 3 was really what happens at the individual level, stretching our faith in giving, that the people in our church would experience God's faithfulness through this process. And I know I've talked to some of you, and I know some of your stories, and God has done amazing things. And I'm telling you, over the next month, I would love to be sharing stories with our church of how God came through for you during this 2-year period. So send me an email. We'd love to talk to you, get a video, a letter, anything we can share so that people can know about God's faithfulness. So we got a few volunteers. I'm going to ask them to come up. We had this goal of raising $1.75 million. Honestly, as I said, I wasn't sure we were going to make it. That's a hint that we did, but anyways, I wasn't sure we were going to make it. And then literally in the last couple of weeks, some large last-minute donations came in. And the good news is, in the past week, we've exceeded the $1.75 million mark right on time, which is amazing. Yeah. The secondary goal, which was the $600,000 savings, we're going to put a little thermometer up there. And I want you guys to cheer for me as this goes up, all right? Come on. Cheer with me. All right? Savings going up. You guys ready? You got it right when it hits the top. We're going to do this. Come on. Still going. In fact, again, with those donations that I was saying came in, we've actually exceeded that 600,000. It's more like 640,000 that we now have in place. I know our online audience might not have got the full effect, so we got Andrew. He's ready. Get ready. Here we go. For those that don't, yes, indeed, we wanted to make sure that you got to experience that as well. Man, I gotta tell you, this process has been a stretch of faith for me as a leader because, again, to stand up here and to set this goal that, hey, could we do this as a church? And to see God come through, but also to see our people do what you've done. In spite of the difficulties we've been in with the pandemic, to see this, we were driving down the road, my wife and I, sorry, I'm getting emotional. And I just turned to her and I said, I thought we'd be in a building by now. Like, we've done all this. I just thought it would have appeared, and it hasn't shown up yet. We are still looking, folks, and we'll give you updates whenever we have, like, we're going to just kind of do some regular updates and say, here's what we're looking at, here's what we're doing, but we're looking. And I said to her, I just don't know if anything will ever turn up. And she just turned to me and she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, God has got this. Like, look at what has happened. Look how God has shown himself faithful. And it was just like, oh yeah, it's such a reminder to see God at work through his people and to see what we've accomplished. It's unbelievable. I was talking to the Generis rep, the guy that helped walk us through this whole process. And not many churches come in on time like we have, and especially in light of these circumstances. So that's a testament to God's faithfulness and your faithfulness. So I wanted to thank you for that, and we celebrate as we move forward. So thank you so much, guys. It's amazing. Yeah. So again, that last goal we had was to raise the level of generosity in our church. I believe that has happened. And for some of you that weren't here 2 years ago, that didn't take part, you're part of this church and the mission we have. And whenever you give online, through e-transfer, whatever you do, putting money in a box, it goes towards the mission of this church and all that God has for us. So thank you for your generosity. Thank you for those of you that continue to give at your new level as we move forward. We're excited to see what God has for us next. So way to go, guys. And we're going to, little video and transition to my message.